y'all, welcome back to the Tatty Life. If you're new here to my channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. So today I'm just going to be showing you what's for breakfast. So this is what we typically have for breakfast, or what we're typically having right now. And most of these breakfasts are going to be stuff that you could pack into a lunchbox, because my husband at his job, he typically has a breakfast break. So his first break of the day would be when he eats his breakfast. He doesn't actually eat it at home before he goes to work. So his breakfast has to be something that is kind of small and portable and can fit into a lunchbox. He does have a microwave at work, so he can heat it up, so it doesn't have to be like something that can't be heated up. But I'm going to show you some of the stuff that I am making for breakfasts for all of us, and how I prep them at the start of the week, so that as we go through the week, each night when I go to pack his lunch, I just have to grab it out of the fridge and I can just toss it into his lunchbox, and I'm not trying to like make a breakfast, make a lunch and everything like that for the next day and pack it. And so in his lunchbox, for breakfast is normally something that I've made at the start of the week, and then his lunches are either a salad or leftovers, or a combination of both. So we're gonna hop right into this today, and I'm gonna show y'all exactly how I do it and walk you through it. Okay. So the first thing that I'm going to show y'all is just the juice that I pack for my husband. So every day he just has like a little 8-ounce glass of juice, and I just use a mason jar, and it has measuring lines on it so I can see exactly where the 8-ounce line is. And I just buy these big jugs of juice. I got these at Aldi, and they are Bolt House Farms. And so one of the flavors is Sea Boost, and that has pear, apple, and mango in it. And then the other one is strawberry banana flavored, and I always buy different flavors every week. So some weeks I'll get like the green goodness, and other weeks I'll get something else, just whatever they have. And I just put it in jars and pack that in his lunchbox so he can have a nice shot of like healthy juice first thing in the morning when he gets to work. And I'm just placing these in the fridge now, and I alternate them in the fridge with different flavors so that I can just quickly grab them out, and he has a different flavor every day. So the first thing I'm using to make our yogurt parfait is just the Silk Almond Milk Dairy-Free Yogurt in the Peach Mango flavor. And so I just scoop out the whole cup of yogurt into the jar, and I make sure to stir it up real good first before I put it in the jar. And then on top of that, I'm just putting this frozen berry medley that has strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, and blackberries in it. And they are frozen, but I do this the day before or at the start of the week, so they are thawed out by the time that he eats them. So really, they'll thaw out overnight in the fridge. And then to top off the yogurt parfait, I just use some of this Simply Nature granola from Aldi, and this flavor is the pumpkin seed and flax. And I just show you the box here because I hadn't opened it yet, but what's in the jar is the same thing. I had just already opened it, and so when I open a box, I usually just dump it in the jar so we can get it out and store it a little bit easier. They also have a coconut and chia flavor that's really, really good as well. And so if you're doing this at the start of the week, I wouldn't add the granola until the night before, because you don't want it to get soggy. So another thing that I will sometimes put in his lunches, which he's actually having this one time this week, it's just kind of something super quick, like I haven't prepped anything, is I will just put an oatmeal in his lunchbox. And this is the oatmeal that we have currently. I think they do have some at Aldi, kind of similar but a different brand, but this is just something we picked up a while back, and a big box like this lasts us a really long time because I just occasionally will throw it in his lunchbox, or I will make it for our daughter to have for breakfast. But this is just a variety pack of different types of oatmeals, and so I'll just grab a pack out of the box and just toss the pack right into his lunchbox just like this. And then I don't know if you can see it. Let me try to get it up there where it'll focus. But it has a fill line right here on it. So you just dump the contents into like a glass or bowl, and then you just fill it up with water up to that fill line, and then dump that into the bowl, and then it has the microwave instructions. So it's super easy, and you're not having to take like a measuring cup to measure out like 2/3 cup water or whatever you need. And so his juice that I normally pack for him, he would just drink the juice and then rinse that out, and then he will pour this into the dry and cleaned out juice mason jar that I use, and then fill the water up in here and then pour that into the mason jar. So he uses the mason jar that I pack his juice in when he has an oatmeal, and that seems to work for him, and we don't have to pack like a separate bowl or jar or something like that for the oatmeal, and it's not taking up space in his lunchbox. So the next thing that I make for breakfast is just some baked eggs and Canadian bacon, and the first thing I do is preheat the oven to 350, and then I just start to heat up a frying pan, and so I turn that on to medium, like high heat, and get that heating up, and then I switch over and start on the baked eggs. So for the baked eggs, I'm just spraying, I'm only making 4 eggs here, so I just spray 4 of the muffin tins, and then I just crack an egg into each muffin tin, and then my frying pan is hot, so I jump back over to the Canadian bacon, and I'm just throwing like 5 pieces of Canadian bacon into that pan to heat it up. And so then I switch back over to the eggs, and you don't have to do this, but my husband likes a little salt, pepper, and Texas Pete in his, and then you also don't have to do this part, but I just like to scramble them a little bit, but if you don't want to do that, it's totally fine. So here I'm just scrambling those eggs up a little bit, and then I'm just going to pop them in the oven at 350 for 14 to 18 minutes. On my oven, it works best at 14 minutes, but yours may take a little bit longer. The Canadian bacon, you want to cook it like 3 to 5 minutes on each side, and then flip it over, and we like it to look a little bit brown and be a little bit more on the done side, so that's totally just your preference there. Now to assemble the plates, I just use a spatula to pop out the little like miniature egg muffin things, I guess you would call them. And I'm just putting 2 in each container for him, because I'm going to have him have this for breakfast 2 times this week. So it's going to have 2 eggs in each container, and then like 2 to 3 pieces of Canadian bacon. And this seems to be enough breakfast for him each morning, but you could adjust that depending on how much or how little you want. So the next thing that I'm making for breakfast is just some waffles, and my husband and our daughter Juniper both like to eat waffles for breakfast. And this is actually my first time making waffles. I usually buy just like waffles at the grocery store and that are frozen and let them eat those. But I decided that maybe I should switch over and start making our waffles so they're a little less processed, and maybe to save us just a little bit of money. So I went on Amazon and bought the mini dash waffle maker. It was actually only $9.99, and this was my first time using it here, and I really liked it a lot. I think the waffles come out the perfect size for like a little quick breakfast or for a toddler, especially if you're doing like baby-led weaning or something like that. But I'm just using the waffle recipe that came in a little booklet with the Dash waffle maker. and it really turned out really good here. It did kind of take me a little bit to get used to it, but this recipe is just 1 cup flour, 1 tablespoon sugar, 2 teaspoons baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon salt, 1 egg, 1 cup milk, and 2 tablespoons melted butter or vegetable oil. And I used whole wheat flour instead of regular flour, and almond milk instead of regular milk, because that's just what we had on hand. But basically you mix the dry ingredients together, then the wet ingredients together, and then you mix them all together to make the waffle batter. So like I said, it did take me a little bit of time to get used to it, but by the end of making all of these waffles, I did feel like I kind of had a little bit better hang of it. But basically you just plug it in, and there's a blue light that comes on top, and once that blue light goes off, your waffle iron is heated to temperature. And so I just gave it a quick little spray with some cooking spray, and that's what the instruction manual said to do. And then I put about 1/4 a cup of batter into the waffle iron and just closed it. And I thought that there was like an indicator light that was going off, but I don't think it was, because the first one came out like not completely done. But then as I went along, I found that like about 3 minutes was the perfect time for the waffles to get done. Maybe a little bit longer, depending on how much batter you put in there, but 3 minutes seemed to work good for these classic waffles. And this classic waffle recipe made 10 waffles. And so once I got all of the waffles made and they cooled down a little bit, I just put them like flat on a cookie sheet in the freezer and let them freeze solid. And then I popped them into a freezer bag and kept them in the freezer so that we could just easily grab one out and pop it in the toaster each morning. If you like this video, please hit that subscribe button, and be sure to follow me over on Instagram at the Caddy Chew Life. I post our weekly dinner meal plan every Sunday. Alright, I'll see you guys next time.